I chose to look at martinlutherking.org because I think this is a site my students might go to and try to get information from. The first thing I noticed when I look at the page is his picture. And I also see something called rap lyrics and it says new next to it. So I'm going to click rap lyrics. And it says black rappers call on blacks to murder and rape whites. This website seems to be not really pro Martin Luther King. I've gotten that just from that one little thing, and also a quote on the left side that talks about the night Martin Luther King was murdered. The quote itself says, "That night, King retired to his room at the Willard Hotel. Their FBI bugs reported picked up 14 hours of party chatter, the clinking of glasses, and the sounds of illicit sex, including King's cries, 'I'm effing for God, and I am not a Negro tonight.'" In all of the years that I have learned about Martin Luther King, I've never heard any reports about this. Clearly, this is a jaded website against Martin Luther King. It's hard for me to say whether those allegations are true. I've never heard it. That's where the whole legitimacy of the website comes into play. I think it seems so far that they just dislike Martin Luther King and are trying to slander his name. The next link I clicked on is called The Truth About King, Who He Fought and Fought For. And the first thing they talk about is communists, which is interesting. I'm not really sure the connection between communists and Martin Luther King. And they also talk about how we in America celebrate Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and it has become a national holiday declared in his honor. And it talks about how his day is his own day, when Washington and Lincoln and Jefferson all have a one day called President's Day. They all don't have a single holiday for themselves anymore. Another link on the site is entitled Jews and Civil Rights. This is a very long segment of the webpage. The gist of it seems to be he is trying to connect Jewish people to the Civil Rights Act and how they were a huge part of the NAACP and they were on the board and all of that. I'm not really sure what that has to do with civil rights, though. Overall, looking at this website, you would think it would be a very good website to learn a lot about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. But in fact, after clicking on the links, you'll realize how one-sided this website actually is, and you're reading things you've never read about Martin Luther King Jr. before, because this, as I read in our textbook, seems to have been put up by a white supremacist organization. Therefore, they are putting all sorts of negative stuff out there about him. This kind of scares me a little bit to think that our students could just type in martinlutherking.org and get this and read all these terrible things about him, not knowing that where they're coming from is a very negative point of view. However, in our textbook, Web Literacy for Educators, one of the questions in the student review in the how to validate information on the web is, does the information contradict information you've found elsewhere? And this website really does seem to contradict any information I have found elsewhere about Martin Luther King Jr. So I'm hoping the students would understand that as well and keep moving past this site and realize it's probably not the most reliable site for good information about his life and his death and things afterwards.